Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Oguntoye. In our major story, President Muhammadu Buhari says he's ready to negotiate with the Boko Haram terror group if it will lead to the freedom of the Chibok girls. Also in this program, new Chief of Defense Staff Abayomi Olomishakin assumes duty in Abuja. Two members of the House of Representatives sue Speaker Yakubu Dogara over leadership positions. Outside Nigeria, British Prime Minister David Cameron launches 5-year action plan to defeat Islamic State terror group. President Muhammadu Buhari has said his government is ready to negotiate with terror group Boko Haram if the talks will lead to the freedom of over 200 girls of the government secondary school Chibok, Borno State, who were kidnapped in the school over a year ago. Boko Haram stormed the GSS Chibok on April 14, 2014 and abducted about 278 female students of the school who were preparing for their final examinations. About 58 of the girls managed to escape at different times. Buhari, who is rounding off a 4-day official visit to the U.S., said this while speaking during an interview with Christine Amanpour on CNN on Tuesday from New York. The president, who noted that people needed to be cautious about the credibility of various Boko Haram groups, however, declared that the government will embrace any process that will lead to the freedom of the girls. The president, however, warned that the country needed to be cautious about the authenticity of claims of any group calling for talks with the government. He added that no one, not even in the ruling All Progressives Congress, who might have amassed wealth illegally, would be spared in his government's anti-corruption crusade. Buhari believed that it was too early for anyone to pass a judgment on his performance in office, saying he could be held by his promises. He said he will be delighted if his host, U.S. President Barack Obama, could change his mind and visit Nigeria in his upcoming visit to Africa. President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday said priority must be given to the resettlement of people who were displaced internally as a result of the activities of the Boko Haram sect in the northeastern part of Nigeria. He puts the number of the affected persons at over 1 million. According to a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the president spoke during a meeting he had with representatives of the World Bank, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the World Health Organization in Washington. Adesina quoted the president as saying, apart from rebuilding the affected region in terms of infrastructure, priority must also be given to the IDPs. The presidential spokesman added that during the meeting, the World Bank unfolded a package which would see it spending up to $2.1 billion in rebuilding the badly devastated area ravaged for the past 6 years by the Boko Haram insurgency. Additional added that WHO is also to invest $300 million on immunization against malaria in Nigeria. while the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will collaborate with Dangote Foundation to ensure that the country maintains its zero polio case record of the past 1 year. If the effort is sustained for another 2 years, the presidential spokesman says Nigeria would be declared fully free of polio. New Chief of Defense Staff Major General Abayomi Olanishakin has assumed office with a pledge of a renewed commitment of the armed forces in confronting terrorism, oil theft and other criminal vices threatening national security. He made the pledge shortly after taking over from former Chief of Defense Staff Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade in Abuja. Olonishakin is demanding increased commitment from officers and men of the armed forces and assures them that training and capacity building will be given top priority. Defense correspondent Pio Samuel reports.
After about 18 months in office as Chief of Defense Staff, it's time for Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade to hand over to a new man. He congratulated his successor on his appointment and urged him to brace up to the challenges of the fight against terrorism. Bade, however, noted that the task ahead of the new CDS was surmountable.
Let me begin by congratulating the incoming CDS and the service chiefs for their well-deserved appointments. They are all coming on board at a very critical time in the life of our nation and the armed forces of Nigeria. This is so because of the security challenges occasioned by the activities of Boko Haram sect and other criminal elements. The task before you is tough, but not insurmountable. I therefore wish you the very best as you settle down to address the nation's security challenges.
The new Chief of Defense Staff, Abayomi Olonishakin, in his address says he will pay closer attention to tackling insurgency and other criminal activities in the country.
While appreciating our collective effort, it is instructive to state that we must redouble our resolve at addressing these security challenges. The country expects nothing less from us, and I am certainly going to demand more from every member of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
He revealed that new strategy in information gathering will be introduced to help stem the tide of insecurity across the country.
The Defense Headquarters will provide the necessary leadership, direction, and coordination of the military efforts. We will therefore be proactive in providing the very necessary strategic direction and support for implementation by the services in order to achieve the desired end state in the counterinsurgency and other operations in the country.
Before his retirement from the military, former Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade served the nation for 38 years, 6 months, and 2 weeks. Pio Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Earlier, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Usman Jibrin handed over the mantle of leadership in the Navy to his successor, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas Usman, reeled out some of his achievements while in office to include the reduction in crude oil theft from 2.4 million barrels per month to 300 barrels per month in June 2015. For his part, the new Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, promised to tackle all forms of maritime crimes across the waterways.
With amid security challenges, which also affected the maritime environment, the then President, Commander-in-Chief, directed and mandated that the Navy should reduce crude oil theft and other security challenges in our waters. With the help of the Almighty Allah and commitment of our officers and ratings, we were able to reduce losses from crude oil theft, which used to be 2.4 million barrels per month, to about 300 barrels in the month of June 2015.
The negative impact of maritime crimes
on the nation's economy is severe and cannot be allowed to continue. During my tenure, the service will frontally confront crude oil theft and other criminal activities in the maritime environment with all the resources at our disposal. We must collectively strive to realize our dreams of building a credible Navy capable of discharging its constitutional roles and assigned tasks in a sustainable, efficient, and effective manner as encapsulated in the revised Nigerian Navy Transformation Plan 2012-2020.
The Inspector General of Police has assured the Governor of Plateau State of the continuous police commitment in order to allow for peace and development in the Middle Belt State. Plateau State, which was recently hit with a twin bomb explosion that consumed over 40 lives and has been on the receiving end of communal clashes in the struggle for arable and grazing lands between herdsmen and local farmers. Governor Simon Lalong, who receives the IG in his office, made some requests to the police. According to the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arasi, 13 bombs have been detonated in Plateau State since the issues of insurgents began in the country lately. While commiserating with the Plateau governor on the loss of lives due to the recent bomb attacks, he assured that his men are totally committed and ready to work with the state to ensure a peaceful environment where the dividends of democracy can be delivered.
To come and first commiserate with you about the incident that happened about 2 weeks ago. I was very, very worried when it happened because we've had about 13 cases of bomb incidents since the insurgency started. This one that came was like an aberration because it was something we thought we had been able to, settle it, and I know you are just trying to settle down to governance in the state when the incident happened.
However, the IG queried why some of his men were attacked during the last explosions when they went in to help the injured. The irate youths who attacked the police also went ahead to burn down some churches within their vicinity.
And secondly, there was some reaction from some indigents of the state when it happened. My officers who were on rescue mission, they started hurling missiles at them, and I felt that, that was something that was out of the ordinary because they were supposed to go and, assist the victims of the incident. So I decided that apart from talking to the officers and men of the police command, I should also have an interactive sections with strategic stakeholders in the state. And,
on his part, Governor Simon Lalong requested for more police presence in the southern part of the state, where he said daily attacks have become a daily routine, adding that the state is doing its best to ensure total peace is achieved within its borders.
Grateful for that opportunity. We're grateful for the concern police is showing. After the bomb blast, you've come. I'm sure you have listened. So the next thing is action. We will do our best to cooperate with the police, and we'll also ensure that we get Plateau back to the home of peace and tourism. So that is the only way that can help us to also execute our programs for the people of Plateau State. Once more, thank you for coming, and may God bless you as you get back to your various destinations.
Highlight of the visit was the presentation of gifts by the governor and the police boss. The immediate past Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Adia Bolurin, has formally handed over to Abdullahi Muhammad. The elaborate ceremony saw Abolurin urging NSCDC officers and personnel to sustain the integrity and credibility of an agency he built in 10 years. Basiayo reports that the new Commandant General was, until his appointment, an Assistant Commandant General and Head of Procurement Department.
History is being made today. Dr. Adia Bolurin is bowing out and is handing over to his son, Mohammed Ghana, the new Commandant General. Please put your hands together for the new Commandant General.
It was an elaborate event at the NSCDC Academy with scores of officers and men in attendance. That is how one would describe the handing over ceremony and change of guard from the old to the new. It is the first time a ceremony like this will be held in the NSCDC since its establishment 10 years ago. Another significant event was an extensive tour of infrastructure and facilities, which is followed by a command performance by a select few. Then it was time for speeches, with the former CG taking time to highlight his achievements in office. Abolurin also gave a final charge on the need to maintain good conduct.
Will remain very civil and civilized people. I'm also handing over to you those to represent the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps on a permanent basis in the International Civil Defense Organization. I'm handing over to you a cream of officers that are highly vibrant, highly resourceful, very industrious, very articulate, very agile, very energetic. I'm good to go. Are you good to go? Good to go? Good to go? I'm good to go. So you can see that there is no old man among them at all. There is no expired person among them at all.
Finally, the new man in charge of the Corps stepped up to say a few words. He promised to consolidate the gains of the past leadership.
We better wake up and buckle up for the battle ahead. I'm assuring you that I've been trained by the CG and I'm well exposed. He has trained me in different countries, and I'm assuring you that I will use that experience I had and that knowledge that I have to make sure that I move the Corps forward.
The former CG may be bidding farewell to active service, but officers and men of the Corps are of the view that his expertise will be required from time to time, even after the final pull-out parade slated for next week. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Navy on Tuesday said it has achieved a drastic reduction in oil theft in the country from 2.4 million to 300,000 barrels per month in June 2015. The Navy's claim represents a total of 87.5% reduction in the theft of the nation's oil resources in the maritime domain. The former Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Usman Jibrin made the comment while handing over the leadership of the service to his successor, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas in Abuja. Jibrin advised the successor, who according to him was in his team, to sustain the tempo of achievements recorded by the Navy by ensuring total elimination of the theft of the nation's crude oil resources. It said the Navy's success was in response to a mandate by former President Goodluck Jonathan to the service to reduce crude oil theft and other forms of criminality in the maritime area. The new Chief of Naval Staff, Ibas, said the Navy would not allow the severe impact of maritime crimes on the nation's economy to linger. He added that the source of oil theft and other crimes in the maritime domain would be frontally tackled under him. Security operatives in Kaduna have killed 3 cattle rustlers in a joint operation and recovered 2,000 cattle and rams in Birnin Gwari local government area of the state. The operation involved a raid on the bandits' hideout in Birnin Gwari and Damari village on Sunday and in the early morning of Tuesday. No fewer than 9 cattle rustlers were arrested during the operation. Governor Nasir El-Rufai has since commended members of the joint security team and pledged government support for what it described as a new offensive in the northwest against cattle rustling. He added that the joint operation involved 6 states, including Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, Sokoto, and Niger, which have common borders with the Birnin Gwari forest. It's the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break and return with more reports. Stay with us.
what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will strong for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that will be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it is about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power. In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
Many thanks for being there with us, and for more on CoreTV News, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV with a space the news. And in case you're just joining us, these are the stories making the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari says he is ready to negotiate with the Boko Haram terror group if it will lead to the freedom of the Chibok girls. New Chief of Defense Staff Abayomi Olunishakin assumes duty in Abuja. Two members of the House of Representatives sue Speaker Yakubu Dugara over leadership positions. The police authorities have approved posthumous promotion for 3 operatives who died in a suicide bomb attack on a checkpoint in Damaturu, Yobe State on Monday. The policemen were killed on the spot alongside 5 persons suspected to be Boko Haram members. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that if not for the sacrifice and professionalism of the men, the terrorists would have detonated the explosives at a high-profile target. He noted that aside from approving promotion for the deceased policeman, Inspector General Solomon Arase has ordered the medical department to foot the bill of an officer who survived the attack. The police have also offered scholarship up to secondary school level for 4 children each of the deceased officers, while promising that the families will be given a priority in the boarding police housing scheme. The police spokesman added that similar gesture will be extended to other officers who died in the course of fighting insurgency in the country. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, now has an acting Director General, Chief Executive Officer, following the removal of Ziakede Akpobolokemi on President Muhammadu Buhari's orders. Is Callistus Obi, who until the appointment was Executive Director, Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services in the agency. A statement issued by NIMASA indicates that he would be bringing over 2 decades of experience in the public sector, law practice, and the maritime industry to his new responsibility. Justice Gabriel Kolawole of the Federal High Court has granted bail on self-recognition to the former head of service, Stephen Oronsai. He also granted bail to the second accused person, Osarenkwe Afe, in the sum of 50 million naira with two shorties who have a landed property in Abuja. Justice Kolawole, however, ordered the accused persons to deposit their international passport with the court registrar as part of their bail conditions. Oronsai is facing a 24-count charge bordering on fraud and money laundering amounting to 1.9 billion naira when he was head of service between 2009 and 2010. Judicial correspondent Basil Okafor has more in this report presented from our studio.
Oronsai was on July 13 formally arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission before a federal high court in Abuja on the 24 counts of money laundering. The court allowed him to go home on personal recognition, but to return to court on July 21 when his bail application will be heard. At the resumed hearing of the matter on Tuesday, his counsel Kanu Agabi asked the court to grant him bail on self-recognizance. But prosecution counsel Rotimi Jacobs opposed the application, arguing that it will set a bad precedent. In a ruling, Justice Kolawole upheld the argument of the defense counsel and ordered that the accused persons be rearrested if they fail to meet their bail condition after July 23.
Well, first and foremost, we believe Mr. Oronsai is innocent, and we will... I won't say we are happy or unhappy. The law has taken its course. He's a responsible Nigerian. He's been given bail on his own recognition. The file was sent to the judge by the chief judge as a vacation judge. After the vacation, the chief judge will reassign the case to any...
Before Tuesday's hearing, the anti-graft agency had alleged that one of Oronsai's accomplices in the alleged crime, Abdul Rashid Maina, is at large. But Maina counsel Esther Ozoma appeared in court to debunk the allegation. She informed the court that EFCC had not invited Maina for questioning on the said crime. EFCC counsel Rotimi Jacobs, however, insisted that Maina is in Dubai and had been evading justice. The trial proper is slated for October 5.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has described a protest around its office as an attempt by a rented crowd claiming to mislead the country. The protesters were demanding the removal of EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Lamode on alleged bias in the investigation and prosecution of Sule Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State, and Steve Oronsai, former head of service of the Federation. Spokesman of the EFCC, Wilson Uwajaran, however, described it as an attempt to mislead Nigerians and distract the agency. The EFCC spokesman wondered why the protesters did not see the need for Lamade's removal until it moved against those it says are their patrons. He said in a statement that instead of renting a crowd, the accused persons should go and face their trial in court. The commission used the opportunity to reaffirm that the former Jigawa State governor and his two sons, Aminu and Mustafa, alongside one Aminu Wada Abubakar, are being prosecuted on 28-count charge of corruption and money laundering. As the search carried out on the house of former National Security Advisor Sambu Dasuki last week by the DSS continues to attract reactions from Nigerians, human rights lawyer Femi Falana says the action of Secret Service was in order. Falana, who made the assertion at a function in Lagos, insisted that the search warrant produced by the DSS at the house of Dasuki legitimizes the step taken by the security outfit.
While that was going on, he contacted the media that there was a Gestapo operation in his residence. The SSS had waylaid his house and they were trying to be funny. And everybody picked it up on the internet. Oh, this new government, you have come with your dictatorial policy. Why are you doing this? But the following day, the man involved came out himself to see that those who came to my house brought a warrant signed by a magistrate. And I said, wow, does this man know the implication of what he was saying? He was simply telling Nigerians, I defy the law.
and nothing can happen to me. And that is our country. You can't do that. If you do that in the US, the house will be polished.
The leadership tussle in the House of Representatives has crossed over to the courts as two All Progressives Congress members have sued the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, joined in suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/625/2015 filed at the Federal High Court Abuja at Deputy Speaker Yusuf Lassun and the clerk to the House, Mohammed Sani Omolori. The members, Abubakar Lado Abdullahi from Niger State and Olajide Abdul Jimoh from Lagos State, are praying the court to restrain the defendants from stopping the announcement of the names of principal officers recommended by the leadership of the APC. Findings showed that the court process was reportedly served on Dogara and the co-defendants on July 16. Specifically, the plaintiffs urged the court to determine whether Section 14 of the 1999 Constitution, dealing with the principle of federal character, was applicable to the sharing of principal offices in the National Assembly. A special advisor on media and public affairs, Hassan Turaki, simply said they are not aware in a reply to a question whether Dogara had received the court summons. It declined to respond to a second question, what the Speaker would do about the case. The House, which began a forced break on June 25 after fighting broke out on the floor over the sharing of the principal offices, was scheduled to resume on Tuesday, but on Friday last week the resumption was suddenly put off by 1 week without any official explanations. However, findings indicated that the unresolved leadership tussle was the reason for the abrupt postponement of the resumption. Friends in the Gap Advocacy Initiative, a legislative advocacy, monitoring and lobby group, has expressed concerns with the postponement of the resumption of the National Assembly members from July 21st to July 28th, 2015 without any tangible explanation. It noted in a statement that this is the third time that the 8th National Assembly will embark on recess since its inauguration on June 9, 2015 by the President. The group records that shortly after inauguration, the lawmakers sat only for 3 days and embarked on their first break on June 11, which lasted till June 23rd. It added that 3 days after the resumption, the legislators took another 3-week break on June 25 that would have seen them resume work on July 21st before the latest extension. The advocacy group argued that the lawmakers have only put in 6 days of work in roughly 2 months and have been unable to achieve anything in terms of meaningful legislative work since their inauguration. It is also concerned that the lawmakers would most likely spend 3 legislative days before embarking on a 6-week-long vacation till the end of September. The group maintains that it would not hesitate to call for civil protests to sack the present crop of legislators from the National Assembly if they fail to get down to the task they were elected for. The Femi Gbajabiamila group of the two All Progressives Congress factions at the House of Representatives has rejected the latest zoning proposals of principal officers by the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara. The group, which calls itself APC Loyalist Group, wrote the party's national chairman, John Odige Oyegun, formally rejecting Dogara's proposals. The letter, dated July 18th, was made available to newsmen on Monday, and it confirms the deepening nature of the leadership tussle. An exclusive report says that moves to reconcile the two sides, including an intervention by the governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, merely left deepening disagreement. The letter called on the APC to assert its authority in party affairs rather than continue to allow Dogara get away with what it considered to be a disloyalty to the party. It noted that having emerged as a speaker against the APC's initial projection that the Southwest should produce the speaker, the members expected Dogara to exhibit the spirit of give and take by allowing the APC decide how the remaining principal offices should be shared. Dogara zones the majority leader to the Northwest, deputy leader to the North Central, Chief Whip to the South-South and Deputy Whip to the Southeast in defense of his argument that each zone must be represented on the leadership. As the National Assembly crisis continues to fester, a member of the like-minded senators, Senator Issa Misau, has blamed the situation on external forces, insists bent on using the legislature to gain political relevance. It said in a statement issued in Abuja that it is not compulsory that losers in an election should be given other positions before legislators can perform their constitutional duties. The Bauchi Central Senator wondered why one of his colleagues, Kabiru Marafa, has been threatening fire and brimstone that they will bring down the roof of the National Assembly if the men who lost out in leadership elections were not accommodated. He argued that senators in the House of Representatives members were not elected for the purpose of fighting for leadership offices, but to pass legislations, motions, engage in debates and oversight functions which will lead to improved standard of living for the people. The senator from Bauchi said those who are insisting that Femi Gbajabiamila should be majority leader in the House of Representatives should be ready to go for election because the explanation by Speaker Yakubu Dogara on federal character and equal representation of all the geopolitical zones was logical and realistic. Governors on the platform of the All Progressives Congress are perfecting strategies to oppose the nomination of Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose as the Deputy Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. It was learned that members of the NGF who are scheduled to meet on Wednesday ahead of the National Economic Forum meeting on Thursday are likely to select a Deputy Chairman. Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari was unanimously chosen as the chairman following the expiration of the tenure of ex-Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi. A source in the Progressives Governors Forum confided that the governors in the PGF received a hint that the opposition People's Democratic Party is pushing for Fayose's candidacy to spite the APC. Those opposed to Fayose argue that its kind of politics is divisive and should not be allowed to take the center stage. They recalled its stiff opposition to Buhari, especially during the presidential campaigns and immediately after the victory of the APC. The People's Democratic Party in Kwara State has accused the state government of diverting the over 2 billion naira bailout fund it receives from the federal government. But the government dismissed the allegation as baseless. The PDP, in a statement by its spokesperson Rex Olawoye, alleged that the diversion was criminal, insensitive and a negation of the spirit behind the fund's release. The Senior Special Assistant to Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed on Media and Communications, Muhyiddin Akorede, said Kwara only received its share of the Nigerian liquefied natural gas dividend recently distributed to all tiers of government. Governor Ahmed dismissed PDP's allegation as untruthful, saying the government had not received the bailout from the federal government. Ahmed clarified that the 2.1 billion naira NLNG dividend was inadequate to cover the monthly obligations, which he put at 2.6 billion naira. The Chief Judge of Edo State, Cromwell Idahose, has taken a swipe at the Benin branch of the Nigeria Bar Association for not inviting judges to partake in its training on the newly introduced Stamp and Seal initiative, saying without the judges, it will be meaningless. The Chief Judge made the observation in Benin City at the seminar organized for members of the bar and other stakeholders on the importance of the Stamp and Seal in the document. Our correspondent completes the story. We'll bring you details of that report later. Kwara State Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed has once again reaffirmed the commitment of his administration to a robust healthcare delivery system to the people of the state. Governor Ahmed stated this while declaring open the conference put together by the Kwara State Health Insurance Scheme, which with the team supported health insurance, research and result. Rashid has more in this report from Ilori.
The governor, who spoke through his deputy, Peter Kisira, stressed that the state government, as part of its plan to ensure the accessibility of healthcare facilities to all Kwarans within a 500-meter radius all over the state. He added that the state government has already embarked on both rural and urban awareness to enlighten the people on the availability of the health insurance scheme in the state.
It is imperative to pay attention to the health of our people. This is why health remains a priority for my administration. As you are aware, the country has adopted universal health coverage with the overall objective of ensuring that the majority of the people, especially those at the grassroots level, can access quality and affordable health care. As laudable as UHC is, the objective can only be attained with adequate funding of healthcare delivery services. In a bid to ensure sustainability, Kwara State government enacted a law known as Community Health Insurance Law in October 2012 to prioritize the provision of healthcare to low-income groups through the community health insurance.
World Bank's representative at the event, Tayo Fashakin, says though the scheme is a wonderful attempt at addressing the health needs of the people, he however frowned at the way the scheme is being run. He added that a reform process must be put in place to ensure that the funds earmarked for the scheme is put to proper use.
You can't talk about insurance without talking about trust. The citizens have to trust their government. The citizens have to trust that the services that they say they will provide, that they are actually providing at the end of the day, which leads us to a very important point about, transparency and accountability. The politicians are accountable to the people by making sure that they get the health care that they promised them during the campaign. The healthcare provider is also accountable to the citizens that they serve by making sure that when they come, they actually get that service at the end of the day. The other thing I want to speak to is that they say if you continue to do the same thing the same way and you expect a better result, then there must be something wrong somewhere.
Ebel Shonga Haliru Yahya, under whose domain the pilot part of the scheme is cited, says the initiative is a good innovation, urging all traditional rulers to embrace the scheme and recommend it to their people.
Our traditional structures and leadership play an important role in mobilizing communities and stimulating buy-in at community and government levels. I'm pleased to say that traditional leadership will continue to provide unflinching support and commitment for the state-supported health insurance in Kwara State to enable the vulnerable groups in the society access affordable quality health care. This project is unique in making sure it keeps the community and its leadership at the center of the project. The community leaders are fully informed and they're used to mobilize their subjects. You don't come from outside to want to mobilize them. You use leaders to mobilize them and you watch and guide what's happening.
The scheme was started during the administration of former Governor Bukola Saraki and has been on for years. But this is an effort by the current administration to scale up its effectiveness. Rashid, CoreTV News.
Ogun State High Court sitting in Shagamu will on Tuesday hear a suit filed by United Bank of Nigeria, UBA Cooperative Multipurpose Society Limited against the registered trustees of Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, over a disputed expanse of land measuring 30.763 acres. Justice E.O. Oshunuga fixed the date through the court's registrar, having failed to sit last Tuesday due to ill health. The UBA Cooperative Society had instituted the suit, claiming the sum of 150 million naira as damages against the church for disobedience to order of court. In the suit filed through its lawyer, Femi Omodele, the claimant and applicant UBA Cooperative alleged that the church had disobeyed an earlier order by the court restraining the church, agents, servants and representatives from carrying out or continuing to carry out any form of construction on the said disputed landed property. According to the society, the disputed landed property was legitimately purchased from the Olowoto Olisa chieftaincy family of Ewuo Dolphin Village, pursuant to a deed of assignment dated December 12, 2014. They also claimed that the defendant and respondents are merely using their influence to override the claimant, thereby taking the laws into their hands. We'll take another break and we'll return with stories from outside Nigeria, business and sports. Don't go away.
Der Torschütze zum zwischenzeitlichen 1:1. Emenike schickt Musa, da ist Ahmed Musa! Und da ist der Ausgleich!
It's a beautiful Saturday evening in the city of Lagos.
Off the turn, Phelps had it, but then Matsui kept going.
Finals. 5 to shoot. Leonard does.
Sports is concerned, and of course, it's all of us here from all of the few things I want to flash up.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there. The UK Prime Minister has launched a 5-year plan to defeat Islamist extremism, saying it is time to counter an ideology that has attracted so many young people to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant group. In a wide-ranging speech, David Cameron also announced new powers designed to put those who radicalize young people out of action, together with plans to allow parents cancel their children's passports to prevent them from traveling abroad to join a radical group. The measures are meant to crush the infrastructure that has made it possible for as many as 700 young Britons to join armed groups abroad, he said. Cameron spoke at a school in Birmingham, a center of the Muslim community in Britain. He said it was time to counter the narrative that has attracted so many young people to the ISIL, also saying Britain must deglamorize such groups by making the young aware of the stark reality of life under their control. Polling stations have opened in Burundi's controversial presidential elections, with Pierre Nkurunziza widely expected to win a third consecutive term. Shortly before voting started on Tuesday, at least 2 people, a policeman and a civilian, were killed, according to eyewitnesses, in a string of explosions and gunfire in the capital, Bujumbura, the epicenter of 3 months of anti-government protests. Report says that one of the opposition members was also killed overnight in the city's Inyakabiya neighborhood. The incident prompted a big crowd to gather there in protest in the morning. About 3.8 million Burundians are eligible to vote in the polls, which the opposition and civil society groups are boycotting, claiming they will not be free and fair. The opposition have denounced the candidacy of the incumbent president as unconstitutional and a violation of the 2006 peace deal that ended a dozen years of civil war and ethnic massacres in 2006. The nation's constitutional court has ruled in the president's favor, however, maintaining he is eligible for a third term because he was chosen by legislators and not popularly elected for his first term. And now to business stories. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has been described as one of the failed agencies of government. This is against the backdrop of the warning handed down by the Apex Bank to all banks and deposit houses to publish the names of debtors of non-performing loans by August 1st. Our correspondent went to meet experts and brought back this report. Reaction to the call by the Central Bank of Nigeria to publish the names of debtors in national dailies. One question that has been raised is how effective the publication of the names will be in returning the loans that have not been serviced over the years. While some are of the opinion the publication might morally push the debtors to pay, others feel the Central Bank of Nigeria is the cause of the problem of the financial institution of the country.
I think from moral perspective, we are not talking from the law, but from the position of the law now. Let's talk from the perspective of moral suasion. I think it's capable of sending some signals to them. One, image is about everything in business. If your image is destroyed, then you have no basis for you to continue in business. Neither have you got any basis to continue to thrive. So if your name is published as a bad debtor, then you know that the next thing that will follow is litigation. And members of the public, we're talking about the ordinary people now, they say, oh, so this company, after all, is a debtor or is a chronic debtor.
It is a peculiar Nigerian problem that instead of facing the reality, we keep chasing shadows. Usually before banks advance loans, they would have all sorts of requirements which need to be put in place, including the provision of collateral of some sort that can be used to support the loans being advanced. And if these loans have become non-performing, there is a way out.
Asking about the effect of these loans on the functionality of the banks and the country at large, the experts had this to say.
And it all depends on the ratio, the liquidity ratio of the various banks, those banks that are involved. If it's insignificant, then it won't have much effect on the economy. But if it is significant, I hope it won't be another crisis within the financial institutions. But I'd like to think that the banks, as presently constituted with their balance sheets and with the funds available to them, they will not likely go down.
Well, put it this way, ultimately, you will have a repeat of what happened in, I think, was it 2008 or so, when at the end of the day, the central bank itself printed more money, I think about 5 trillion naira of fresh notes, put it in the system because the banks had a lot of non-performing loans as well. And of course, the impact of that strategy was to expand the liquidity base of the country, of the economy, and that had its own ripple effects in terms of instigating a higher rate of inflation, of instigating a higher cost of funds, because you will notice that in the last 2 years or so, the cost of funds have remained in excess of 20%, while inflation has remained well over 8%. These are indices which are totally out of gear for companies or for countries where there is best practice in the issue of management of banks.
Whether or not the CBN will live up to its threat of publication is another question. Toshiba's chief executive and president, Hisao Tanaka, is to resign after the company said it had overstated its profits for the past 6 years. An independent panel appointed by Toshiba says the firm had overstated its operating profit by a total of 151.8 billion yen. However, Toshiba's accounting scandal began when securities regulators uncovered problems as they probed the company's balance sheet earlier this year. It has been revealed that there has been inappropriate accounting going on for a long time, and this has caused a serious trouble for both shareholders and stakeholders. Meanwhile, Toshiba will have to restate its profits for the period between April 2008 and March 2014, while it is unclear whether it will affect the company's results for the year ending March 2015. As a result of this, Hisao Tanaka and Norio Sasaki have asked to resign today and would be succeeded by Masashi Muromachi. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News. Before we go, another look at our major stories. President Muhammadu Buhari said he is ready to negotiate with the Boko Haram terror group if it will lead to the freedom of the Chibok girls. We also reported that the new Chief of Defense Staff, Abayomi Olunishakin, has resumed duty in Abuja. Finally, 2 members of the House of Representatives have sued Speaker Yakubu Dogara over leadership positions. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebulomo Oguntoye, wishing you a pleasant night rest.